Hey guys, welcome to the American Tribune Live. I am Todd Peterson. Apologies for that intro video. I had to find new music. YouTube kept taking my videos down, striking my videos. Big tech hates all of us. They'll find any reason not to get our voices out there. Thank goodness for Elon Musk buying X. I think that single-handedly swung the election in Trump's favor. But we'll have to figure out some new songs for that intro. It's a little depressing to start the show with whatever you call that, if you can call that music. But it just goes to the point of big tech censorship and what we avoided, folks. So many great things to get into today. Lib meltdowns, a Trump victory. America is already great again. Folks, I am elated this week. I know you are as well. We needed Donald Trump to save this country. It really came down to this election. And if you watched the show on Tuesday, I laid out the scenario, what Democrats were going to do, because they're in trouble now. Folks, I'm extremely optimistic. I am really optimistic about what the next 12 years look like. And here's why. Let's go back to Tuesday night and let's say Kamala Harris wins the election. Democrats would have given citizenship to all of the illegals in the country. Mass amnesty, mass citizenship. And what that would have meant was tens of millions of new Democrat voters. And that was key to their plan. They needed all those voters to go out into swing states, which would no longer have become swing states. We just have to look at what happened in California in the 80s with Ronald Reagan. Once we gave citizenship to folks in the 80s, California went from a red state to a decidedly blue state, one of the worst run states in the country. Thankfully, people have places to go. They can flee from communist California. Joe Rogan was speaking with Elon Musk and they said, yeah, we could go to Texas. But had Kamala Harris done to America what Reagan did and allowed to happen in California in the 80s, there's nowhere else to go. And you lose the ability to have free and fair elections because elections don't matter. Illegals voting now as citizens would have made every swing state blue, solidly blue, and there you go. They get the Electoral College every time. You're counting these people in the census. You're encouraging more people to come. Do you think Kamala Harris would have closed the border if she had taken office? So you got even more of these folks coming in, even more people who eventually become citizens. That would have been the end game, folks. That would have been the end of this country. It is not hyperbolic to say, therefore, that Donald Trump's election, his victory Tuesday night, saved this country. And now here's really why I'm optimistic. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts, but I think the next 12 years are already lining up for Donald Trump. And if it's J.D. Vance that takes the helm in 28, if it's, people keep saying DeSantis, I don't know where DeSantis is going to be in 4 years. Fantastic governor, best governor in the country during COVID, made a huge mistake running against Donald Trump. I think MAGA would forgive him, especially if he's running under the banner of the America First movement against whoever the Democrats put out there in 2028. Their bench is looking very thin right now. I don't know if Whitmer sticks around, Newsom sticks around. Big Mike was looking so haggard and disheveled and old. I think the Obamas are done. The Clintons, Bidens, Obamas, they're all toast. They're all toast after Tuesday night's victory for Donald Trump. So resounding that they had to announce it Tuesday night. But here's why I am optimistic. We already laid out the case that Democrats can't give citizenship to the tens of millions of illegals in this country. They don't even know how many people are in here. Chuck Schumer said, yeah, mass amnesty. We'll figure it out later. ACA bill, let's figure out what's in it after we pass it. Let's figure out how many illegals are going to get the right to vote now once we give them citizenship. They can't do that. Those would-be Democrat voters do not exist now. And what's more, corporate media is officially dead. Donald Trump won the election. He got the Electoral College, the popular mandate. He gets a Republican-led House. He will have a Republican-led Senate. All of it. Donald Trump has all of it. And nobody is going back to corporate media. Their lies have been exposed for the final time. It is a nail in the coffin. Donald Trump didn't need to go on MSNBC, CNN, Fox News. He didn't need to do any of that. He did. J.D. Vance did. But what won the election was podcast appearances, independent journalists covering the news in real time. X, formerly Twitter, has become the go-to source for real news. X is not the signal. It is the news maker. X is real life. X is where people are getting their news now. They go to Rogan. They go to other podcast sources. We don't need corporate media anymore. We bypass them completely. And now that over half of this country is woken up, the hoaxes won't work anymore. There will be no Democrat-run House to go after Trump with impeachment. There's going to be no Senate to provide gridlock in Washington, D.C. Donald Trump's going to get to do exactly what he campaigned on. It's going to make America better. And do you think in 2028, Donald Trump's going to lose a single voter? If it's J.D. Vance or DeSantis or Vivek, whoever it is, do you think the America First movement loses a single voter after Donald Trump follows through on his campaign promises? Absolutely not. If you voted for Trump in 2024, you are never looking back. You're never going Democrat. You're never going back to corporate state media. That's it. These people are decidedly in the Trump camp. And what's more, over the next 4 years, as we continue to wake up our brainwashed Democrat voting friends and family members and neighbors and whoever else out there, they're going to realize that, and I've got clips here, we've got receipts. We're going to show these in 4 more years to say, did these threats come true? We're going to debunk the Trump IVF hoax in real time on the show today. Every single day, folks, just ask these Democrat voters, people that still voted for Kamala for whatever reason in 2024, you were worried about Trump taking IVF away from you. I know you're trying to start a family. Let's flash forward to 4 years and nothing happened to IVF. And we'll talk about IVF in just a second here. Was that true or were you lied to? Trump was going to do a national abortion ban. You voted for women's rights. That's why you voted for Kamala Harris. You were just being a good dad, said all these losers on Twitter. Did Trump enact a national abortion ban or did he leave it in the states? In 4 years, these people are going to be hit with such a hard reality check. I think we wake up, and it doesn't have to be all of them, but if you get 5% or 10% of these disenchanted Democrat voters, like, you got me. I still trusted the media in 2024. I can't trust them anymore in 2020 because all of the things they said about Donald Trump never came true. He will have had 2 terms as president for all of these realities that they said would happen to happen, and it never did. No IVF ban, no abortion ban. He closed the border. He made the economy great again. He took away DEI from the federal government, and anyone that gets federal money, boom, you're not a bad guy for being white or male anymore. People are going to look around and they'll be like, you know what? They called him Hitler, but I'm still not on a train. I'm still not going to a camp. I still have a lot of freedom to say whatever I want about Donald Trump and his fascist government online, and the goons aren't knocking on my door and hauling me away. They're going to wake up and realize that every single thing that has been told to them was patently false. It was misinformation directed to them by the media, by the Democrat Party, by the ruling establishment party that is ruling no more, folks. It is a fantastic week for freedom in America. But let us start with the IVF hoax. I have people in my immediate circle that told me and my wife specifically, I'm afraid that I won't be able to have a family or grow my family because Trump's going to ban IVF. Now, nobody ever asked the questions like, why is it harder for people to get pregnant these days? Could it be what's in your food? Could it be what is handed out via big pharma? Could it be the toxins in the environment? Well, RFK Jr. should be head of the HHS. It seems very likely that he'll have oversight of CDC, FDA, EPA, good things happening there. But they never ask questions, well, I can't get pregnant. They will. They will once RFK is in charge. But they were afraid that Donald Trump was going to take away IVF. Take a look at this. This is grabbed directly from Kamala Harris's website. Do you remember all this Project 2025 nonsense? She was up on the debate stage. She would do rallies and she would say, Donald Trump, Project 2025, they're going to take away your rights. We played a clip on Tuesday, I think it was, of Oprah saying, if you're a woman in America, you won't have any more rights if Trump wins tonight. They think that not being able to murder your baby is losing rights, but they're talking about we won't be able to vote anymore because Project 2025 surrogates were saying repeal the 19th Amendment. White women, majority of white women voted for Donald Trump. That thing's not going anywhere. It wasn't going anywhere anyways, but from Kamala Harris's website, suggests making in vitro fertilization fully obsolete. Donald Trump, according to Kamala Harris, was going to take away your ability to get pregnant via IVF. And then they're talking about, I got to squint in because my eyes, I'm getting older, includes language that propagates the belief that life begins at conception. This so-called personhood language could ban not only abortion, but also assisted fertility treatments like IVF. So there it is. Kamala Harris's campaign, the media, they're all running in circles with their heads cut off saying Donald Trump's going to get rid of IVF. Never mind the fact that both Trump and J.D. Vance have been running a pro-family campaign. They said, we are going to make families great again. Folks, we have so many things to celebrate about Donald Trump's approach towards families. IVF isn't going anywhere. I'll play the clips in just a second. Talking about giving you tax credits if you homeschool your kids, offering more school choice to families that need them most. In 4 years, when inner city families, most of them Black and Hispanic, and the whites have fled the inner city, these people are going to failing, just miserable schools. They are facing violence every day. Teachers are getting assaulted. Kids are running the show. These families need a way out. They want a way out. They love their kids just like you love your kids. They don't have any options, though. Donald Trump's going to give them options in education. Pro-family all the way. Larger tax credit. J.D. Vance talked about that as well. Larger tax credit per child. This is the pro-family party. Families are going to be great again under America's new leadership. But they're talking about banning IVF. let us go to videos. I think I'm going to share my screen. I got 4 videos that I shared in a single tweet. Let me pull this up. So we talk about, this is my tweet from yesterday. I'm just going to read the tweet as well, and then we'll get to the 4 videos. It's time to debunk the absurd Trump hoax that he wanted to ban IVF. We're going to need a new word other than debunk. Like, yeah, we're debunking, but all we're doing is playing videos. We're just playing videos of Trump saying it himself. We're just showing clips of the Harris campaign. The lies are so egregious now, thanks to X, thanks to the internet. We can call them out in real time. But again, you had people that didn't know about this because they're still tuned into MSNBC and CNN. There were people voting, I write, for Kamala who were legitimately afraid Trump would ban IVF as part of Project 2025 fear-mongering. Again, I know those folks. You know those folks. That's what they told you. Kamala said he's going to ban it. The media said he's going to go after it. Kamala said it. The media said it. When he said he would promote it, they mocked him. So here's the other thing. I have a clip from MSNBC's Nicole Wallace. She is right up there with Joy Reid as just one of the worst. All these folks at MSNBC, absolutely the worst. So they said he would ban it. And then we've got a clip of Trump talking about his approach to IVF. And because of some of the language he uses, then they're all of a sudden like Trump. He's calling himself the father of IVF. And they're insinuating that they think Donald Trump invented IVF. Father of IVF, we'll get to that clip in just a second, just means he's going to be the one that promotes it. So the truth about all this nonsense with IVF bans, as far back as August, he said he'd make it available. I have that clip. And tonight, and this is from last night, Trump announced federal support for IVF treatment as part of his pro-family agenda. Donald Trump, either via the government or via insurance mandates, will make sure that IVF is free of charge for the American citizens. Now, I am very small government-minded. I don't want the government involved in anything. But if the government has any role in our lives, it is to secure our freedoms. And you know what? I think growing your family is part of that. We need a healthy, vibrant America. I want people to have big families, and I want them to be able to take care of their families. So you know what? Good for Donald Trump for promoting this. I think if we're going to use tax dollars, I'm fine with this right here. So you don't hate the media enough, folks. Another wild hoax debunked thanks to X. But here we go. And this is what I tell you. Share this podcast. Share this content. It's on Twitter. It's on YouTube. Again, we had to change the music specifically for YouTube. It's on Rumble. Share this with them. Share this clip with them. Share the whole podcast with them. Share the whole series of podcasts I've done. I debunked all the Kamala Harris lies, the Tim Walz lies. Thank goodness they are out of the picture. We went through all the Trump hoaxes in a previous podcast. But remind them what they believed. Just say, look, did you tell me that Trump was going to ban IVF? And they're going to say, yeah, I thought that. Play the clips. And then you know what you do after that? You ask them if they lied to you about this. And look how easy it is to debunk. If they lied to you about this, what else are they lying to you about? Eventually, these folks have to. Not all of them. Not all of them are going to figure it out. They're too far brainwashed. Scott Adams wrote about the election Tuesday night. It's about people that either trust the media or don't trust the media. Some people will always trust the media, but we don't need everybody. We just need 5 or 10% of Democrat voters to wake up, and Trump never loses again. Republicans never lose again. So Kamala lied about it. Her campaign website lied about it. Trump's position vis-a-vis IVF and Trump's latest comments. So let's just roll the tapes here. I got 4 clips. We're going to start with Trump talking to Tulsi Gabbard back in late August. He was asked about what's your position with IVF. Let's take a listen.
I've been looking at it, and what we're going to do is for people that are using IVF, which is fertilization, the government is going to pay for it, or we're going to get or mandate your insurance company to pay for it, which is going to be great.
Pro-family, Donald Trump is all for IVF, and we can talk about, there are very strong pro-life positions against IVF. People hear IVF and they just think it's an alternative way to get pregnant. I'm having problems the traditional way of impregnating my wife. So they think, oh, IVF, this is just a way to get a baby inside mom. There are downsides to IVF if you want to take a very pro-life stance. You're fertilizing, you're implanting eggs with sperm, and those suckers are frozen. You implant a few, you embed a few, but there are a lot of zygotes created that never get used. They're frozen or discarded. If you're one of those, and it's hard to dispute the fact that life begins at conception, when else does it begin? So there are some moral questions around IVF. I fully recognize that. I get that. Where I'm at right now, if I keep podcasting in 10 years, I might have a different opinion. But there are a lot of zygotes, fertilized eggs that are never realized. They are frozen in perpetuity, sometimes destroyed. yes, you can make a very compelling case that you are destroying life. That being said, where we're at right now, it is harder and harder for people to get pregnant. It seems like it's one or the other. Either we continue to use IVF so that people can have families, raise kids, or we don't have IVF and we wait for infertility to take over the human race. Like, that's where we're headed. You just have to look at the trends of male testosterone and realize, like, pretty soon dudes aren't going to have swimmers. And as women have a harder time getting pregnant because they've had birth control pushed on them for years. We've already mentioned the toxins in our food, toxins that get entered into our body via pharmaceuticals. There are a lot of things happening in the world that make it harder for people to get pregnant. Where I'm at right now, it's one or the other. Either we find ways to help people conceive or we stop conceiving. Excuse me. So there we're at. There's Donald Trump back in August. That was his position on IVF. There is no way around it. Donald Trump, plain and simple, said, I want people to have families. Government will support your IVF treatments, which are quite expensive. We're talking tens of thousands of dollars, or insurance will cover it. I'll just have insurance cover it. But here's how the media.
It's all laid out in Project 2025, written by his closest advisors. Couples just trying to grow their family, cut off in the middle of IVF treatments.
So there's Kamala at the DNC. She said, thanks for nominating me. Thank you for installing me in a coup against Joe Biden, which, by the way, Donald Trump and all Trump voters are the happiest people in America. You know who's right after that? Joe Biden. I think this race is closer if Joe Biden stays in it. I think this race is lost if they run Michelle Obama. She's an awful human being. She is no better than Kamala Harris, but she's got the Obama name recognition. And people, when they have just their emotional reaction to the name Obama and Kamala, completely different. Kamala Harris was the worst candidate we have ever seen. She is the dumbest candidate we've ever seen. She is the least articulate. She is the most vapid. She is the least relatable. And we had Hillary Clinton run in 2016. Kamala Harris was the worst in every category as far as presidential candidates go. Got swept away. Joe Biden is happy about that. And like I said, I think it's a different outcome if Biden stays in the race. It's certainly closer. All the media had to do was cover for him for a few more weeks. All they had to do was not do the June debate. They could have covered his senility for 4 more months. Like, what? Were people going to wake up all of a sudden and be like, I'm thinking for myself as a Democrat voter, Joe Biden doesn't look healthy? Like, they're not going to do that. But Kamala Harris flat out lying in her acceptance speech saying Donald Trump is going to come after your IVF. So that is a lie. Here is, I think we got MSNBC.
I'd be here till 8. If I had to fact check all of that, I will get to some of it. It's nonsense. It's complete and utter nonsense. We played it for you in full because if that's what you're after with 19 days to go, we don't want you to see it.
Well, that's not true. MSNBC never wants you to see the full clip. And I will say, I did cut off Trump's remarks. I think he spoke for like a minute and a half about IVF. And it was the same thing that we already played for you. Trump said, I want IVF for families. That's not good enough for MSNBC. Folks, if you are watching corporate state media, if you're watching these propagandists, you saw Trump say it. There is no other way around it. I want IVF available. I want the government to pay for it. I want insurance to pay for it. I want big families. I want pro-family agenda to take over this country. MSNBC, though, they can't just admit, all right, we were wrong. Trump doesn't want to ban IVF. We have to talk about Project 2025 on this side, and we have to lie about what he said here to make that work. So here's Nicole Wallace reacting to Trump's IVF position.
Version of Ron Fox. We want you to see all of that, starting with a fantastically attractive person who explained IVF to him in 2 hours. And he was, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, I'm sorry. Now, this self-proclaimed, quote, very stable genius, calling himself the, quote, father of fertility of IVF, which actually started in 1978, mind you. Something he admitted to learning about on a phone call from this attractive senator in 2 minutes.
You don't hate these people enough. That face right there, they're lying. So the part we cut out, Donald Trump said that Alabama Senator Katie Britt called him. Alabama during the summer tried to ban IVF. And so Katie Britt, senator from that state, said, Trump, we have a problem. Abortion is the #1 issue on the minds of Democrat voters because they're absolutely insane. They don't care about open borders, wars overseas, taxation, cost of everything, inflation. They don't care about having the state take your kid away from your home. You don't affirm their trans identity. They think you should have to send them to a public school system. Otherwise, Kamala's going to put you in prison as a parent. She gets hung up, Nicole Wallace does on MSNBC, because Donald Trump called her attractive. I got news for you. Katie Britt's an attractive woman. She's a younger woman senator from Alabama. What else do you want to say? Now, does Donald Trump have to call out her beauty while he's talking about IVF? Probably not. There's also a case to be made that you can be beautiful outside of just your physical appearances. For all we know, Donald Trump was talking about how she's a beautiful woman because she values life, because her morality and her values are in the right place. So we don't know for certain. I am guessing Donald Trump actually said she was physically beautiful, or that's what he meant to say, because she is. What are you going to do about it? Dudes recognize females' physical beauty. There's no other way around it. Who cares? But because we got to promote this, Donald Trump's a womanizer. And then apparently now you're a misogynist for finding women attractive. Like that's all they got. That is all they have got. But she gets stuck on that point. She brought it up twice in like 30 seconds of talking. He called her attractive. Remember, he learned from someone about IVF that was attractive. Like, okay, I mean, that's not relevant here, but that's what they have to go on because they have to keep ignoring that he wants IVF. And then she referenced the fact that it was created in the 70s, but he's calling himself the father of IVF. And here's just a straight up lie too. Anyone listening to the Trump clip, they hear him talk about, I'm the father of IVF. Nobody, not a single human being that has two brain cells that are firing and communicating with one another, think that Donald Trump was insinuating he invented, he created this new medical process, this medical miracle. Like, we are able to take sperm and egg outside of the human body, fertilize it, implant it, grow a human. This is a fantastic scientific development. No one thinks for a second Donald Trump created it. She wants you to think that because Trump speaks in these hyperbolic, exaggerated, self-aggrandizing terms sometimes that, oh, does Donald Trump think he invented IVF? Like, no, nobody thinks that. He calls himself the father of IVF because he's pro-family. We all know what he's trying to say. He wants to promote big, healthy families in his wonderful America, but Nicole Wallace can't give you the honest news. All she had to do was say, yeah, Donald Trump wants to promote IVF. I guess this is good for the country. This is good for families. Can't do it. They can't do it. These people are hacks.
I'm announcing today.
All right. So this is Donald Trump's announcement. This was from Wednesday, November 6th, depending on your watching. We are a live show, so this was last night. It's going to sound really familiar.
A major statement that under the Trump administration, your government will pay for, or your insurance company will be mandated to pay for, all costs associated with IVF treatment, fertilization for women, IVF treatment. Because we want more babies, to put it very nicely. And for this same reason, we will also allow new parents to deduct major newborn expenses from their taxes so that parents that have a beautiful baby will be able. So we're pro-family. Nobody's ever said that before. But the IVF treatments are expensive. It's very hard for many people to do it and to get it. But I've been in.
This is such a fantastic 1-minute speech from Trump. You can deduct costs of newborns from your taxes. You will get free IVF. I don't know for certain. I want to say it's like 30 or 40 grand per cycle of treatments, like one round of trying to get pregnant. Trump, yeah, a lot of people can't afford that. The people I know, all of their parents have had to help them with that. People my age, people younger, they don't have $30,000 lying around in most cases to hopefully get pregnant through this expensive process. They just can't do it. They're trying to buy a home. They're trying to do other things. And yes, you'd prioritize your family, but like $30,000 is $30,000. Does this sound like Hitler? Does this sound like a fascist? Did he say only white Americans are going to have access to this money? The lies that they have told about Donald Trump are off the charts. But folks, share these clips, share this segment, share the whole podcast with your Democrat voting friends. I have people, like I said, in my circle that were terrified of Trump winning because he would take away their IVF. And honestly, I will find a little bit of joy. I'm not going to do it in a condescending way, a patronizing way, a smug way. I want everyone on the Trump train. I want everyone to come to our side on the America First movement. We're not going to do that by saying, you were wrong. Tell me you're sorry. Like, open arms over here, folks. We're the party of decency. We're the party that includes everybody. And I want every disillusioned, disenchanted Democrat voter to join us so that we can defeat Democrats every single 4-year cycle. But they were wrong. And the people that voted for Kamala Harris, that in a couple months will get those IVF treatments free of charge from the guy I voted for, I'm absolutely going to tell them that. Like, wake up, sheep. You voted against this because you believed the lies, and now you're getting a free tens of thousands of dollars of treatment to grow your family. You're welcome. I voted for that. I did that for you. You're welcome. But we need to remind these folks what they were lied to about, because it is so easy to see when you lay it all out in this timeline, you were lied to. You were just straight up lied to. All right, let me see if we've got any more clips as far as that goes. I think I had one more comment. Yeah, that was that one right there. I'm going to go over to, and this is why I'm optimistic. I mentioned this earlier in the show. I want to read one more tweet that I had. This is not the Todd Peterson tweet hour, but these are some points that were important. I shared them on Twitter. I'm going to share them with you folks that are listening on audio or watching on the Rumble app as well. Hopefully you're on Rumble right now. If you're not on Rumble, if you're watching on YouTube, get out of there. Get out of YouTube. Head over to Rumble and join our community over there. We're a growing community. The American Tribune Live launched just a couple of weeks ago, and we've already got like 60 followers. I shared this podcast on our larger Rumble network. I think we just passed 2,000 followers on Rumble alone. Our YouTube community's got like 2,000 people as well. Again, these are all newer channels. Growth is great, but we welcome all of you. I'd love for you to be part of the program, part of the community where you get to see live broadcast every week. I do 2 shows on the American Tribune Live. I do another podcast with co-host Jason Robertson on our main Rumble channel every Friday at 10. But I talked about why I am optimistic. This ties into the IVF conversation. I am optimistic because Trump is not going to lose a single vote, and we will continue to wake people up. Corporate state media has lost all credibility. They're done. It's done for. Like, nobody moving forward will believe a word that they say. You had Morning Joe out there saying, like, hey, guess what? 85% of Americans don't agree with men being in women's locker rooms. And I believe that too. It's like, no, Morning Joe, you don't get a free pass for all the lies and propaganda that you sold on the American people for the last however many years. Don't trust them. When they try to do these olive branches, no, don't turn them off. Don't even give them a chance. But again, we're done with the hoaxes. And I had a comment down below in that other comment. It said, what's more, women voters will soon realize they were duped by these frauds over the issue of abortion and life specifically. When Trump's 4 years come and go and they don't lose their precious access to reproductive freedom, they have nothing else to hate him over. All these women, and I think we're going to get to these clips next of just liberals melting down, delicious, sweet liberal tears. Nothing has made me happier outside of Donald Trump winning and saving this country than watching these buffoons melt down. And they think that their opinion, their feelings are so important. They hit record on their phone and then scream for a while, and they think that somehow is supposed to convince me that I voted incorrectly. But in 4 years, show them their receipts. You thought there would be an abortion ban nationwide. You thought you would lose access to IVF. You thought you would be thrown in camps, because what other conclusion can you reach? If you call this man Adolf Hitler, then you've got to stand by that. Do you think he's building camps for you to go to? You're going to get put in a train car. You're going to have all your possessions stolen from you. You're going to go work yourself to death or get gas. Like, that's what Hitler did. Are you suggesting Trump's going to do that to you? I guess just ask him in 4 years. Are you still here? Are you still holding down a job? You own your own home still? Thank you for having less expensive homes and groceries and mortgages and everything else that comes with a Trump administration. Are you thriving in America? Does it seem like he hates you? Unbelievable. Clay Travis also tweeted out, then we'll get to the lib meltdowns. New York, 43% of Jews voted for Hitler. 43% of the Jewish population in New York voted for Donald Trump. Like, we all see through the lies. But just come back to stuff like this. Just remind them every single day you were afraid of X and the opposite of X happened. You have been brainwashed. You have been lied to, duped, gaslit, misinformed. Remind them every single day, because we want these people in our camp. We want them voting for J.D. Vance or DeSantis or Vivek in 2028. We need to crush Democrats. Do not let them give citizenship to all of these illegals. Do not let them implement free speech censorship, because that would have happened too. We would have lost our Rumble channel. We would have lost X. We try to keep a business on Facebook. We still have a page, folks. We were just speaking of Facebook support this morning. We had a page in Thanksgiving of last year, so it's almost been a full year. One of our Facebook pages with 1 million followers got nuked by Facebook because the name of it was President Trump is My Wingman. It was labeled as a fan page. We would push content from our website, the American Tribune. We would put memes on there. We had a community of, again, 1 million followers on this Facebook page that was a fan page, support page for Donald Trump. I did my homework after that. You could go on Facebook and find Jack Daniels is my wingman. God is my wingman. Kamala Harris is my wingman. Nothing happened to those pages because you're not impersonating God when you say God is my wingman. It's a Christian community on Facebook. But Facebook told us that we were impersonating Donald Trump, trying to impersonate him, and they nuked our page for violating their terms of service. Big tech companies, the left, they hate you. That would have happened across the board to all of our social media accounts had Kamala Harris won. It is a great day for free speech. I've got Robert in the chat. Robert, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in on YouTube. Robert writes, New York Jew here who apparently voted for Hitler three times. Robert, thanks for watching. Thank you for your vote. I voted for Trump 3 times. I am not a Jew, but apparently I supported Hitler as well. Like, it is so stupid. Robert, thanks for your comment. Thanks for your support of this country. Thanks for freedom. Jews that vote for Donald Trump, what would the left say about them? Like, no one's on MSNBC or CNN is going to comment on this. They're not going to go look for Robert or Robert's friends in New York and say, hey, 43% of the Jewish community in New York that voted for Trump. Are you stupid? Do you realize you voted for Hitler? Like, no one will ever ask them, be like, can you actually explain what your support for Hitler means? Like, my family members, my sister-in-law, I talked about her. She said, Todd, I can't talk politics with you because I can't separate your support for a racist, sexist, Islamophobe, xenophobe, misogynist, horrible person. She called me a racist and a sexist and a xenophobe and an Islamophobe and garbage. She called me all of those words. She's never asked me, like, why do you support Donald Trump, Todd? Can you explain your support of Donald Trump? And I would love to tell her about how I hate the government. I hate the media. All of these institutions lie to you every single day. And if you look at Joe Biden's policies or Kamala Harris's policies, does it look like they care about you? Your life is measurably worse under Joe Biden. Your life will get measurably better under Donald Trump. But sure, just call me a racist and a sexist and a Nazi supporter and just stop talking to me, right? And they always do this too. They get their little jab in and they leave. I can't talk politics with you because I don't want to sever our relationship, as an aunt or a sister to your wife. Oh, by the way, you're a scumbag and a deplorable and a racist and a sexist, but I don't want to talk politics. These people are absolute frauds. You're welcome, sister-in-law. You're welcome, wife's cousins, for free IVF treatment because I voted for that because I love the pro-family agenda of Donald Trump. Maybe they'll write me a check. You know what? Maybe when they get their free $30,000 IVF treatment, thanks to my vote, thanks to Donald Trump making America great again, maybe they'll write me a smaller check and say, you know what, Todd? Here's a little donation. Here's a little finder's fee for you because you saved me a bunch of money because Donald Trump turns out loves this country and wants big families in it. Yeah. These people are insane. But I think we got to get to we got one more thing to talk about, I think, first. When it comes to the election, I wanted to cover this too. Folks, if you're watching on video, I've got a graphic pulled up here. If you're listening on the audio, I'm going to narrate it. So the headline, the title of this graph, U.S. presidential election popular vote, Democrat versus Republican in millions. Oh boy, you're going to ask me to test my eyes on this one. So in 2012, Democrats got like 65 million votes. Republicans, according to this graph, got something around, let's just say 60 million votes. In 2016, Democrats got about 65 million votes. Republicans got about 60 million votes. In 2020, Joe Biden got a record 81 million votes. Democrats found 16 million new voters out there. And at the same time, Donald Trump launched up to 74 million votes. Now, right away, you're like, that's a lot of votes. I went on record saying, well, based on these trends, Donald Trump's going to get 90 million votes in 2024 because people aren't sitting out 2024. Most consequential election of our lifetime. Everyone agreed to that. If you're on the left, you're like, I can't let Hitler get back to the White House. And if you're on the Trump side, the correct side, you're like, I can't let this race communist get into the White House and destroy this country once and for all. So you're thinking that trend has to go up. But folks, look what happened in 2024. Democrat votes in 2024 regressed to the mean of 60 million. Donald Trump, he increased his 2016 turnout. He got, I think I'm looking at 72 million or so. Democrats are honestly asking this question, and it is absolutely insane. They're like, where did all those votes go? If you voted for Joe Biden, how did you not vote for Kamala Harris? And if you voted for Donald Trump in 2020, there is no way in hell you didn't vote for him again in 2024. And we know that a lot of people that voted for Biden switched teams because they hate the corruption of the Democrat Party. They saw through the lies of the media, and they wanted Donald Trump to save this country. This graph is definitive proof that the 2020 election was stolen. That is the conclusion, the only conclusion you can reach. 20 million Democrat voters don't evaporate overnight. And Donald Trump's tally doesn't go down in 2024. The election was stolen in 2020 through absentee mail-in ballots because conveniently they released COVID on us during an election year when Donald Trump had a booming economy. Nothing bad was happening in the country. If you didn't know who was in the White House between 2017 and 2021 and you didn't listen to the media, you would be looking around, talking to people. You'd be like, life is good. Life is humming along. But we have the media, we have the Democrat Party lying to you, saying, oh, we have Hitler in the office. Never mind the fact that your paychecks are getting bigger. Never mind the fact that life is great. Nope, the media lied to you. If you didn't know who was in the White House, you would have loved what was going on. There is no way that both Democrats and Republicans lost turnout in this election, 2024, the most significant election of our lifetimes. No way it happened. You can see the fraud right here in this graph. You do not have a massive spike in 2020 and a regression to the mean in 2024. The election was stolen. And I will say this. I said it at the time in 2020. I think a lot of people did. I'm not going to be the only one that takes credit for this. It is a good thing overall, big picture, that they stole the election in 2020. And here's why. 2016, 2020, 2024. If we keep doing this stupid back and forth flipping game, the establishment wins. They like it when you have a pendulum that goes back and forth. Americans think like, oh, we corrected the wrongs. And meanwhile, the federal government keeps racking up debt. We always keep losing freedoms. The government's getting bigger and bigger. And people still have kind of faith in the media. Like, look, it's fair. Donald Trump won again. Joe Biden won. We're going back and forth. This is how democracy works. Paints a nice little picture. Donald Trump, if he had won in 2020 fairly, Donald Trump did win the election in 2020. That is a fact. Donald Trump won in 2020. Too many shenanigans took place. But think about this for a second. Donald Trump would have gone back to the White House for a consecutive term with Mike Pence as his vice president. Donald Trump would have been a lame duck president in 2020 with Mike Pence as his running mate still. He would have had gridlock in Congress. Democrats controlled the Senate. The House was done under Democrats for the first 2 years. Hard to speculate how the midterms shake out in that scenario. I imagine the Republicans still take the House in 2022. But imagine that. Lame duck Trump, Mike Pence vice president, congressional gridlock. Everything we wanted Donald Trump to do would have been put on the back burner, would have been put on hold, just like it was in his first term. Donald Trump, remember, wasn't stopped by Democrats for building a wall. He had the Republican-led House and Senate his first 2 terms in 2016, and it was the rhinos that shut down his wall stuff. It was the rhinos that prevented him from doing what he wanted to. And again, popular vote, Trump probably loses that in 2020, so now he has no popular mandate. Fast forward to today, and look where we're at, folks. And again, this is why I'm so optimistic. Instead of that scenario where Trump can't do anything, he's dogged by more hoaxes, dogged by more impeachment, dogged by fake scandals. Mike Pence and the establishment are in his administration still. He doesn't have a chance to walk away, regroup, get an America First community. He funded his own campaign, funded his own transition team this time around. None of that happens in 2020. Donald Trump in 2024 just destroys Kamala in the Electoral College. That's good enough already. He wins the popular mandate. He gets a Republican-led House and Senate, and he has his own team ready to step in on day one and make America great again. I can't think of a better scenario, folks. I don't want elections stolen. I want fair elections. I think Donald Trump has talked about doing a national voter ID law. Fantastic stuff right there. Oh, by the way, Kamala Harris only won states that don't ask for voter ID. Scratch your head around that one, if you will. But Donald Trump enters the White House in 2025 with all those things we laid out. He has no reason and he has no impediment to implementing the programs that will make America great again. There is not a better scenario moving forward where Trump has the Electoral College, popular mandate, control of Congress, and a lot of the people that won seats in the Senate that helped flip it from blue to red. He got Bernie Moreno in Ohio. He got Tim Sheehy in Montana. I think he got Jim Justice in West Virginia. These are all America First senators joining the Senate. I mean, I don't want to get too excited. Rand Paul, Senate Majority Leader. He's already got Thomas Massie now pegged for Department of Agriculture. Like, Donald might have won the election with libertarian support. Dave Smith came out and voted for Trump. He brought on Ron Paul at the last minute with Elon Musk to do his government inefficiency commission. Libertarians had a big say in what Donald Trump did in this election. Remember, Trump went to the Libertarian National Convention as well. Kamala Harris skipped that. Kamala Harris skipped a lot of things. Trump went on Rogan's podcast. Rogan hates the government. Rogan hates the media. The people that listen to Rogan, mostly young men, they hate everything about the system. All of these folks just want to be left alone, and Trump built a coalition around the small government, hate the government mindset. This could be absolutely incredible when Trump gets into office. I mean, think about this. It's not having just establishment hacks, these swamp rats in his cabinet. He had like Rex Tillerson before. He had Mike Pompeo. He had not Lindsey Graham. He had that Alabama senator for a while. Jeff Sessions is his attorney general. This time around, Thomas Massey, RFK, and these are just the names that we know about for sure. This is the greatest collection of individuals in government that we have ever seen since the founding fathers, and it's all because they stole the 2020 election. This is absolutely incredible. But there you go, folks. They stole the election. Nothing you can do about it now, and in hindsight, it worked out to our advantage. Media gets exposed. Media is dead once and for all, the corporate state media, that is. And now Donald Trump returns to the White House with a blank slate to just gut the swamp. He wouldn't have been able to do that in 2020 had he won again. We would have been largely disappointed. I think the America First MAGA movement doesn't run out of steam, but it has nowhere to go when Trump steps down. What, does Mike Pence carry the mantle in 2024? Ron DeSantis might have primaried and done okay, but you don't have the same momentum now. Like, Trump has 4 years to do absolutely incredible things. And as I mentioned before, Democrats aren't picking up any more votes. American citizens out there, they're not defecting away from Trump's America First movement in 2028. That movement is only going to grow. You have New Mexico, Minnesota. You've got a couple other states that can probably, New York and New Jersey only lost by, 1 or 2 points? You've got all these blue states that could and should flip red in 2028 once more Americans turn off the TV, stop believing the media, wake up and look around that Donald Trump's policies are working for them. I am so excited, folks. All right, but we got to get to the lib meltdowns here. These are, gosh, this is beautiful. I love these lib meltdowns so much. And I will say, had Donald Trump lost, it would have been stolen. Had Trump lost, it would have been a stolen election again. That is about all you can say about that. It would not have been a fair election if Trump lost. Said it before. I'm still saying it now. But it seems to be more fair this time. And kudos to all of the people out there. Charlie Kirk, Scott Pressler. There were so many organizations and individuals that were monitoring vote, getting out the vote. We would have been dejected, rightfully so, because they would have stolen it from us. But I don't think we would have posted videos like this. We're just going to hit play rapid fire here. I'm going to start with my favorite because why wouldn't you rip off your shirt?
Trump's actually going to win this fucking thing. Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm so pissed off. Fuck. God damn it.
My day just got a little bit better. I'm happier. I mean, if you could quantify my happiness, it just went up. Here's some more.
I'm going to get drunk today, and I'm going to act like an angry black fucking woman because I'm fucking angry. I'm mad. I'm upset. I'm angry as fuck, bro. I'm angry. I'm hurt.
They get mad at you. Just a comment on this. I hate all the race stuff that happens in our society, our culture. If you say to a black woman, are you getting angry? They will accuse you of racism. How dare you push out that trope of the angry black woman? And they own it. It's like they say that they call themselves the N-word too. Like, can't say the N-word, white person. You can't call a black person angry because there's connotations, but they completely own it. Like, they're such frauds. I'm going to be that angry black woman. So I was correct with my generalization or what? But she is not done. She's just getting started.
My feelings are fucking hurt. We always finish last. We always come fucking last to everybody.
I mean, not in 2020 when Joe Biden won. Not in Minnesota when Tim Walz won re-election as governor. Like, we always get last. Like, no, you don't.
Even our own fucking men. And you niggas mamas be black. This shit is crazy. Y'all got black ass daughters. I'm angry as fuck. I'm gonna get drunk.
This is what I hate about them, and this is why they're losing. People are done. And I got a Morning Joe clip. He goes on an insane rant against blacks and Hispanics. Like, he can say it because he's a Democrat, but can you imagine a white pundit calling out blacks and Hispanics the way Morning Joe does? We'll get to that clip in a second. You all have black daughters. And again, I hate the race stuff. How about you just have daughters? I mean, we are all human beings. Doesn't matter what race you are. Doesn't matter what religion you are. Doesn't matter what your background is. Backgrounds, by the way. JD Vance has a fantastic story. Drug-addicted meth mother, raised with his grandma, goes into the Marines, goes to Yale, and becomes vice president. Talk about a rags to riches story. This woman probably doesn't care about that because he's a white guy. He always had privilege. He was always destined to be vice president because we have so many white men in America that are going to be vice president someday. Like, it's all insane. But you have black daughters. How could you do this? Well, I hope the black community specifically, and again, I don't like talking about race, but the black community, when you look at them as an aggregate, still overwhelmingly voted for Kamala Harris. And I think a lot of that's probably solidarity, like, I want to vote for my sister. But when Donald Trump's policies come to fruition, crack down on crime, crack down on these lunatic communist DAs that won't punish actual criminals, gangbangers, violent repeat felons in the streets. Sure, they'll try to go after Daniel Penny in New York City for saving people on a subway train. These people are going to wake up big time. Oh, wait, my community's safer. Oh, wait, I have school choice. Oh, wait, I never lost access to abortion like they told me I would. I'm in Illinois, Chicago. I'm in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm in these far left blue states that, because Roe was returned to the states, voted for unlimited access to that stuff. Turns out I can still abort my baby and murder another child. Everything they're afraid about not going to happen. I don't know who this woman is. I don't care. She is just a proxy for all of the insanity out there. In 4 years, I would love for her to revisit what she was thinking and ask her, did any of that come true? And she'll say no, and then she'll still be like, yeah, but Orange Man. So a lot of these people can't be saved, but just come back to these folks in 4 years and say, were you right about anything? Was the media right about anything? All right, who else do we have here melting down? This is a short one. This is a compilation. If you're listening on audio, there's one individual specifically, upper left-hand corner, folks. This lady is losing her mind. Yeah, man. I say it's music to my ears to watch these guys cry down. That is just brutal. And again, notice that it's all these like young women losing their minds because they've been fed a lie from feminism that I should have as much sex as I want with as many dudes as possible, and that's liberating. Never mind the fact that this is all guys want, easy sex. So feminism lied to you about that already, saying, hey, you want to take your power back? Let's give dudes exactly what they want. But yeah, now you're empowered. Oh, and more empowerment, when you have sex with all these randoms and you don't want to have their kid, you can just murder it. You can just murder it. You can just get medication. You can just have a doctor go in there and crush some skulls. You can just murder your baby after the fact too. Are these women happier for living the feminist lie? I've slept around. I've been used by dudes. I probably had an abortion or two, and now I feel terrible for the rest of my life. My soul has been irrevocably crushed. They might not be able to articulate it, but they know deep down that something bad happened. And now their presidential candidate loses, who would do nothing for them, nothing material for them. If they live in a blue state, they can already murder their kids. Kamala Harris's policies wouldn't make it easier to buy a home. They would put their life in danger because you have more criminal aliens on the streets that, guess what, like to go out, rape and assault and attack young women specifically because they're soft targets. These people are absolutely insane. Absolutely insane.
I hate you, you fucking orange pumpkin. You just caused me.
All right, so this gal, she can't even talk. I mean, we got mushmouth going on here. She made this video to go after her dad. My dad voted for Donald Trump. I hate him. And then she decides that she doesn't hate her dad. She hates Donald Trump for being someone that her dad voted for. And again, we laid out the case just now. What are you mad about exactly if you think about it? Nothing. Is your life going to be over in 4 years? No. Do you think someone like this that is posting a crying video, her mouth is so tight because she's so upset? I hate you, Dad. I hate Donald Trump.
One of the most important people in my life, my dad.
By the way, someone made this video with Donald Trump dancing to the YMCA. It's all fantastic. I love these Lib meltdowns so much. If you're having a bad day, whatever happens in your station of life, if you're having a bad moment, just turn on these Libs melting down. It will bring a smile to your face every time. These people needed to be crushed. This doesn't sound very nice to me. I know I talked earlier about we welcome them all into our camp. Look, if this lady decided a year from now, hey, Todd, I listened to your podcast. Turns out Trump didn't want to ban IVF. You were right. Turns out I shouldn't sleep around and murder my babies when I get impregnated by dudes. You were right, Todd. You were right. I would say I appreciate your honesty. Welcome aboard. I can't wait for you to vote for the Republican nominee in 2028. We will gladly take your vote. We're a big camp. We welcome everybody. In the meantime, these people would have crushed your life. These people would not feel pity. They have zero empathy. All they can think about is themselves in the moment. Do you think girls like this, if their candidate won, would have reached out across the aisle and said, look, Todd, you voted for Donald Trump. I want to tell you why that Trump vote is wrong. Here's why Kamala Harris is going to make America great again. Do you think they would do that? They would have tried to get us re-educated. They would have mandated in every last workplace, you need to learn about how you're an evil human being for being a white male. You need to de-Nazi yourself. We're going to send you to this camp for a week. Hillary Clinton wanted us re-educated. Do you think it's a stretch to think that this girl wouldn't have celebrated that? These people hate you, and they've been brainwashed to hate you. Deep down, I think there might be somebody good. Maybe not in her. I mean, she's going off on her dad on social media. Maybe she's beyond saving, but most people out there, I have normie friends. When Trump was hit with a bullet in July in Pennsylvania, they were just like, meh. Like, they didn't go so far to say as like, I wish it would have hit him in the forehead, but they would have been like, you know what, Donald Trump, I don't like him. Yeah, America would have been better if he was gone. Like, the indifference to life, the lack of morality and clarity and consciousness, it is astounding. These people hate you, and they would have celebrated policies that stomped you to the ground with the boot of the federal government. So yes, when I see her melting down, I am glad. I am relieved. She wakes up and wants to vote for JD Vance in 2028. I am right there with her. I'll throw a party with her. She can join our live stream on election night in 2028. In the meantime, there is no other appropriate reaction other than absolute celebration and mockery because these people almost ruined your life.
Donald Trump, I hate you. You will never be president again.
They don't get that they voted for someone who's gonna make my friends' lives hell. My life's okay. I'm a white woman, but my friends are not gonna be okay.
Oh, it's going to make life so hard. I can't tell you how it's going to make life hard, but it's going to make life so hard. Oh, wait a minute. You're going to pay for my IVF, Donald Trump? Oh, I can still murder my baby? Up until the moment of birth or even after in Minnesota? Oh, wait. You closed the border and that person that would have raped me and murdered me from the Venezuela prison, he's back in Venezuela? Oh no. Oh no, life is so hard.
I can't believe Trump's actually gonna win this fucking thing! Oh, Jesus Christ! I'm so pissed off! Fuck!
He's my favorite.
God damn it! I can't believe Trump's actually gonna win this fucking thing! Oh, Jesus!
Yo, I'm scared to go to sleep. I might wake up a motherfucking slave.
She said that. Folks, people believe that out there. She said, I might wake up a slave tomorrow. I don't even know how you debunk that. That is beyond insane. Also, remember, this is the person right here that voted for Kamala Harris that wants slave labor because she wants migrants, illegal aliens to pick your food. They love slavery. These people have made the case, well, if Donald Trump closes the border, who's going to pick your lettuce in Yuma, Arizona? They want slave labor. They don't want to go pick lettuce. They don't want their kids to pick lettuce. They want cheap, illegal slave labor to pick your vegetables. And I'm going to wake up a slave. You voted for slavery. You voted for actual slavery, abusing illegal immigrants who, because they're poor in their own country, figured out, I will sacrifice for my kids. I'll sneak across the border, go to the rape tree. My 10-year-old daughter will never be the same again, but at least she might have a chance at a better life in America, or her kids will. They're thinking long term. These people voted for actual horrific slavery conditions, but she's afraid that she's going to wake up as a slave tomorrow. And again, maybe this kind of person wakes up in 4 years, you go back to this individual and you say, were you put in chains yet? Can you accept that you were lied to, that you believed a lie? Like, are you back on the plantation, lady? Are you still living the American dream? Do you still go to the job of your choice? Live in the neighborhood you want to live in. Go pay for a house. Go on vacation. Take care of your kids. Go to the school that you want to now under Donald Trump. Like, these people are batshit crazy. And again, we need to mock them and celebrate our resounding victory over them, because this lady right here would have said, Todd, you're the white devil. You voted for literal Hitler. I hate you. I don't want her making decisions for the country. I don't want the person she voted for to make decisions for this country. Mock them, ridicule them, shame them, humiliate them, and then we can educate them and welcome them into our camp.
Disney Plus.
Y'all, like, why are y'all Trump supporters?
I'll tell you why I'm a Trump supporter. Donald Trump is the only candidate that has ever actually spoken to the American people in a way that is relatable and authentic. Kamala Harris is a fraud. Tim Walz is a fraud. Donald Trump is a real human being. What you see is what you get. What he says is what he means. And when he speaks to the issues that I am experiencing. He looks around and says, why are we in this country fighting a war, getting young boys and girls killed so that we can enrich oil executives? Why are you, sports team, letting men compete and taking away opportunities from women and having women exposed to dudes that do not belong there, and they certainly don't want to see it? Why are you driving up the national debt to $36 trillion? Why do you have a wide open border? How long do you want this episode to be, lady? Why did I vote for Donald Trump? Because I want decency and common sense back in the White House. I want limited government. I want to be able to do what I want to do. I would love it if the IRS got abolished. Trump talked about that. I would love a larger tax credit for homeschooling my kid or just having kids in general. Pro-family right there. What did Kamala Harris offer? More crime, more open borders, more foreign wars, more big pharma, MIC collusion. Was it working for you? Where does this lady live? Does she live in inner city Chicago, St. Louis? How is that working out for you, voting Democrat for the last 60 years? These people are absolutely insane.
Why?
I love her tears. I love her tears.
Why are y'all Trump supporters? Like, why is this a thing right now?
We are not brainwashed. That's the other part to that question. I can support his policies, and I'm not brainwashed because everything she believes about Donald Trump is a lie. I wish I knew who this was. I would send her my podcast debunking all of the Trump hoaxes. She could listen to 2 hours of us talking about big things like January 6th insurrection and Russian collusion, all the way down to killing the koi fish because they lie about everything.
Why is this okay?
Yeah,
It's all right. It's all right. I feel that way too. It's all right. We feel that way together, okay? Let it out. Let it out.
I have often talked about, others say it as well. I can never take credit for anything. I am not the only one. The eyes, you just look into their eyes, portal to the soul. Like, that is a literal demon. She is possessed by demons. That is not a normal appearance. That is not a normal reaction. She has been lied to, brainwashed, programmed. She is possessed by demons. And when I say I'm happy that they lost, I am understating that drastically. I am thrilled that they lost. I am relieved that they lost. People like this have no right to make decisions for me. Plain and simple. This woman should not be allowed to vote, probably. She is insane. She is not in charge of her own faculties. Do you think she's a teacher? She kind of looks like she could be a gym teacher.
Red Mirage Blue Shift. Red Mirage Blue Shift. Remember, Red Mirage Blue Shift. Red Mirage Blue Shift. Red Mirage Blue Shift. Ah!
All right, I can't do much for these people. Yeah, it brings me joy, but man, there are so many lost souls out there in the country. And again, aside from that hilarious white guy that ripped off his shirt, hulked out, it's all women. It's all younger women. I am concerned about that demographic. Young women are very unstable right now because they have been sold the lie of feminism. I won't repeat all those things that we mentioned earlier, but they all bought into the lie. Girl boss it. You go, girl. You're strong. You're independent. Yeah, they bought a lie, and their brains are melting. Like, you're watching these meltdowns, like the psychological effect. I get it. It's hard. When we're trying to undo the indoctrination of the regime through just your entire life. I'm almost 40 years old. My entire life, the media has been one giant scam. We have never been told the truth about anything related to politics. Yeah, if there was a hurricane in Florida, they'll even lie to you about that. They can't just report the facts like, hey, there was a hurricane in Florida. They'll be like, oh, man-made climate change. You voted Republican. That's why we have a hurricane. Like, they lie to you about everything. And so to undo that, you're asking someone to undergo quite a stressful ordeal because you're not just undoing one lie. You're not just getting them to be like, oh, wait, Donald Trump isn't going to ban IVF. Oh, he didn't call them fine people. Like, now you're going down some real dark places to say your entire worldview is a fraud. You need to rethink who you are as a person at the most fundamental levels. Your worldview, your value system, like your psychology, the philosophy of the way you view things. Like, you're asking someone to remake themselves. Like, that's where we're at this point. It is far beyond just you believe some lies. Their entire worldview is predicated on these lies. The way they view the world, the way they interact with the world is based on these lies. And so when you undo those lies, you can't help but also undo their worldview. Like, that is a psychologically demanding experience. Most people aren't up to the task. They would break. And so what they do is they have to double down, put up walls, live with cognitive dissonance. All of this leads to disastrous outcomes for them as individuals. Their souls are stretched and ripped apart. Their brains, on one hand, they're like, oh yeah, all trans men are women. You know, anyone can compete in women's sports. Oh, by the way, we should go vote for this woman president. It's like, what is a woman, folks? Like, they cannot hold competing thoughts at the same time without going crazy. That's why they are crazy. I think we had one more. I haven't seen this one. We're going to watch this one together. This was sent to me by some of my colleagues here. I think this is a before and after. I think this is a gal recording herself. Again, it's a woman on November 5th before the election and then November 6th after the election. So let's watch together. Let's learn about this one together.
We're closing in on almost 5 p.m. Eastern time, and I've been tracking everything that's been going on across the country today. And my most important encounter was when I went out to get my champagne. I was talking to the guy in the store, of course, asking him, did he vote? And he said he did early voting, and he asked me if I.
She probably believed the Seltzer poll that said Kamala Harris would win Iowa by 3 points. I was trying to pull up a map. I think, what did Trump win by, like 14 points in Iowa? But they were really close. They were so close. Gosh, it's almost like the polling is part of the media complex, and they lie to you too.
Early voted, and he's asked me, you know, why I was getting the champagne, and I said, because I'm going to be toasting Madam President tonight. And he just looked at me with kind of like a smirk on his face, and I said, you know, she's going to win this, right? And he says, oh, well, it's very, very close. And I said, no, it's not. He says, well, what do you mean? I said, no, it's not. The women of America are making their voices heard. Reproductive rights is what it all comes down to.
She is correct on this. Turns out it came down to other factors, but women, by and large, you can, and again, I just made fun of polling. I don't believe any of the polling when it comes to, most of it, I'll say, when it came to like, ooh, Arizona's close, or in Arizona's going Trump, or Iowa's close. Like, you can't believe any of the polls. Trump was way out ahead, and then it comes back to the center because they don't want to be seen as lying to you, but Trump was way ahead the whole time. They lied to you about the polls. They lied to you about Kamala's popularity. But she is largely correct. I do believe the polls when they say most women were voting on the issue of reproductive rights. The ability to murder your child, the euphemisms are insane when it comes to abortion, reproductive rights, reproductive health. For the umpteenth time, you can go reproduce with whoever you want. And that is what is making you miserable in the first place, women. Go reproduce all you want. We're not talking about preventing your access to reproduction. We're talking about your access to murder, the byproduct of that reproduction. And there are choices. I'm very pro-choice when it comes to the issue of, let's say, murdering your child. You can keep it. You can put it up for adoption. There's lots of things you can do with it. Just not kill it. Just not kill it. So she is right about that. And it's absolutely insane. That's why, we'll finish the clip, but that's why I'm also very optimistic. White women already voted in the majority for Donald Trump. How many more women, and again, not all of them, they're insane. We showed clips of that. I don't think any of the people in here are going to change their minds ever. They refuse to admit it because, it would, like I said, be too damaging to them psychologically at the fundamental level. But there will be people who in 4 years' times will have been granted free IVF treatments thanks to Donald Trump. They will look around and say he didn't do a national abortion ban. And they're going to have to be honest with themselves. And some people are still. Not everyone that voted for Kamala Harris is an absolute lunatic. They're just lied to and they've been brainwashed. But they're going to look around and say, none of that happened. I have no reason to fear the Republican Party now under the MAGA movement, under the America First movement, because they're not coming after me as a woman. Looks, turns out I can still vote. Turns out I can still drive a car. Turns out I can still murder my kid if I'm in a blue state. But they have to be honest with themselves. And in 4 years' time, none of the stuff they talked about is going to happen. This lady right here, she seems insane. I don't think she's going to wake up. And I certainly don't think she's talking to people that voted for Donald Trump in a way to seek understanding, like, hey, tell me about why you voted for Donald Trump, or isn't that funny, my guy? Like, yeah, I was just thinking about IVF. Turns out he didn't ban it. Turns out he promoted it. But people will wake up in 4 years, and once abortion's not an issue, as long as there aren't, this is also what I hate about the Republican Party. There will be people out there, just like Lindsey Graham in 2022's midterms, when he introduced a 15-week national abortion ban right before the midterms. Complete snake, complete hack. He, Mitch McConnell, all these rhinos tried to sabotage the MAGA red wave in 2022. If not for that national abortion ban legislation they introduced that wasn't going to go anywhere. They didn't even have the Senate. They didn't have the House. And so nothing was going to happen there. But he did that to sabotage the America First movement. As long as states like Alabama don't try to reach too far, just let the issues settle down. Just let it die down. Don't give Democrats any ammunition. You're going to have even more Democrat voters switch over to the Trump team in 2028 because everything they believe about abortion is a lie, and they'll have to admit it's a lie, and they won't have any fear-mongering to run on. What are they going to say in 2028? JD Vance is coming after IVF. JD Vance is coming after abortion. And we'll be like, Donald Trump, with JD Vance as his vice president, promoted IVF. They promoted the family. They didn't do anything with abortion. Why should we believe you when you're lying about him saying now he's going to do something as president? Like, they will have nothing to run on as long as there aren't sellout rhino Republicans trying to sabotage our movement. And they're going to have to be honest with themselves. So hopefully we can make abortion not an issue again. And look, you want my personal thoughts? I think it's awful what you do to kids that way. It is beyond awful. It's heinous. There aren't even words to describe the atrocities that we allow people to commit on their children. But you're not going to change it at a political level. This has to come at a cultural level. Politics, I'm interested in winning. I want to win elections so that I get to set the rules, so that I get to create the laws. If Kamala Harris had won, and I'm speaking to my friends right now, a lot of my Christian friends that voted for Republicans maybe, but sat out the presidential ballot part, they didn't vote for Donald Trump, their non-vote could have given Kamala Harris a victory. And these people are pro-life, they call themselves Christians, but they were not voting. And in effect, they were voting for Kamala Harris, who would have codified Roe, would have allowed you to murder your baby up until the moment of birth. And it's insane. It is absolutely insane. So yeah, I'm going to vote for the party that wins because I want to win politics so that the other side doesn't get to do whatever they want. But when it comes to continuing winning, if Trump, if Vance, if these Republicans tried to go too far on the issue of abortion, they would lose elections, and then everybody loses.
And the women are voting in numbers relative to men that are unbelievable. She's won this. And I said to him, she's going to.
Yeah, that's because she believed all the early voting. Men turned out in huge numbers Tuesday night. Way to go, dudes. Yeah, but she's like, oh, I believe the polls. I believe the early voting. This trend is going to hold. Like, nope.
I'm going to take every one of the swing states plus Iowa. And he said, oh.
I hadn't seen this before. I referenced this. She believed the Seltzer poll. This is incredible. People actually believe that Iowa poll. Kamala Harris is going to win. She's up 3 in Iowa. Like, complete fraud of a poll. Like I said, I hadn't seen this video before, but she referenced it there as well. There were people, and again, complete misinformation job. Everybody knew that Seltzer poll was a fraud. Even the person that did it in the Des Moines Register, she's like, wait a minute, you mean R and D mean different things when I'm talking to people? But the media pushed it. They straight up lied and gaslit and misinformed you. They said Harris is going to win Iowa. And all they're trying to do is make Trump voters dejected. I live in Iowa. I would have voted for Trump, but Kamala's too far ahead now, so I'm going to stay home. It was voter suppression. That poll, most polling is voter suppression. They wanted to get Trump voters disappointed, dejected, sit at home, don't go vote. And then, well, I'm in Michigan. Iowa doesn't look too good. I guess I'll stay home too. It is straight up voter suppression out there. When you talk about not having free and fair elections, allowing that Seltzer poll to get published and promoted, chief among them. It was almost Hunter Biden level nonsense right there. But the American people, like I said at the start, I will say this for all eternity, corporate state media is dead once and for all. Their opinions are meaningless. Donald Trump won in a landslide, even with the media lying the same way they did. The media will never reclaim where they were. It is only going to get better for Trump and the America First movement.
Oh, but the numbers are so close. I said, I'm a political analyst. I'm telling you right now, the numbers.
I'm a political analyst. I'm a partisan hack. I am JD Vance's cat lady. Like, look at this woman. She was going out to buy champagne. I'm not going to make fun of you necessarily for being alone, living with cats. I know lots of nice people that live with their cats. When I was single, I wanted a dog. Like, you know what? Animals give you great companionship. So I'm not going to knock you there. What are the chances, though, that this woman is divorced because her husband wasn't good enough for her? Because I'm a feminist. I'm a girl boss. I deserve this made up image of the perfect man. He's going to be tall and wealthy and handsome and jacked and all of it. He's going to be all of it. My husband, who works hard and provides for the family and loves the kids, I deserve better than that. So she's probably divorced. That would partly explain why she's miserable, because she bought into the lie. Now she's looking around like, well, I'm going to the liquor store by myself on Tuesday. But I'm a political analyst. I'm certainly non-biased. Look at me. I'm a non-biased political analyst that believes the seltzer poll.
Are there. She's taking this election. And then I said to him, you realize, and he didn't tell me who he voted for, but of course I knew. And I said, you do realize you wasted your vote, right?
Oh boy, buckle up, folks.
I didn't care. And I walked out with my bottle of champagne and happily walked home.
They hate you. I'm mocking these people. I don't hate them. I feel bad for them. I mean, I feel bad for me because their votes count too, and their votes could have swayed this election in a different way that would have been ruinous for all of us, me especially, conservatives especially, Trump supporters especially. This woman despises you. She hates the guy working at the liquor store, the party of the people, Democrats. They represent the working class. She looks down on him. She hates him for his Trump vote, mocking him. You wasted your vote, you loser, you brainwashed cultist. Yeah, cultist indeed, says the person that listens to corporate media.
Bye-bye. So, as you know,
here we go.
Kamala Harris did not win the election. As the numbers stand right now, there were 18 million fewer votes than in...
Gosh, this lady is perfect. She nailed the seltzer poll for me. I talked about that. She's going to talk about where did the Democrats vote go. Guys, I showed you that graphic earlier where Joe Biden somehow got 20 additional million votes from 2016 to 2020. Donald Trump boosted his numbers a lot in 2020, and then we regressed to the mean in 2024. And she's looking around. She's like, where'd you guys all go? Let's hear her thoughts, and we'll go back to that idea one more time.
2020, and as I have said all along, you have to have a huge, huge turnout, and it goes to the Dems, and we didn't have.
Boy, she is such a good political analyst. You have to get more people to vote for your side than the other side, and you win. I've been saying a long time, you just got to get people to go vote. Yeah, no shit, dumbass. Like, yeah, you got to go vote. But to your point, they didn't go out and vote because they didn't exist in 2020. This lady is so close to accepting the 2020 election was stolen. Where'd they all go? Lady, they were never there to begin with. There you go.
Have it. There is one fundamental thing that you cannot account for when you're using data to predict or project the outcome of an election, is you can't factor in the impact of racism or the existence of racism and misogyny.
There it is, folks. Deep, deep insight from this political analyst who mocks the liquor store employee. You can't measure the impact of racism and sexism in an election. You know why Kamala Harris lost? Because she's a black woman. That's what she said right there. You, that Trump voter, you are a racist and sexist. You know who this sounds like? My sister-in-law. I was told the exact same thing by my sister-in-law. You support Donald Trump? You're both racist and sexist. You're both Nazis. You're both supporting fascism in America. You're pieces of garbage. You don't deserve to be here. This lady, do we need to tell her why nobody voted for Kamala Harris? Part of it's scary. I know we're in a celebratory mood this week, but half this country almost voted for Kamala Harris still. Like, let that sink in. What is it? 47% where she's sitting, 48%? That's a lot of people that supported Kamala Harris. And like I said earlier, she is the worst candidate we have ever seen. I think Joe Biden makes the race interesting. I think Michelle Obama wins the election. This is not a done deal necessarily. I told you why I am optimistic moving forward, but like this election itself, yes, it landed the only way it could have. We had to have Donald Trump win, but it could have been different with a different candidate. But racism and sexism, sure. These people are so far off the register. I got to do my morning Joe clip as well. And then I think we're going to wrap things up here. But let me see if I have my morning Joe blaming blacks and Hispanics. Like, the racism from Democrats is insane. You got that black lady melting down earlier. She wants slave labor. She wants illegals to be slaves in a country to pick your vegetables. This lady right here blaming racism and sexism. Let us see here. I should have Morning Joe. Here we go.
Just say really quickly, too, Democrats need to be mature and they need to be honest. And they
Morning Joe is going to be mature and honest. Buckle up, folks.
They need to say, yes, there's misogyny. But it's not just misogyny from white men. Mm-hmm. It's misogyny from Hispanic men. Right. It's misogyny from black men. Things we've all been talking about.
Spicy. Who's been talking about this? Has Morning Joe ever talked about misogyny from the black and Hispanic community? Of course not. It's always been white evil. White dudes are bad. Toxic masculinity. The white male Trump support. They're all neo-Nazis and white supremacists. No one's ever said this before. We need to talk about the misogyny in the black community, which, if you want to have an open conversation about misogyny in the black community, you want to do a deep dive on the rap industry and the messages promoted to the black community specifically by the CIA via rap music. Fascinating rabbit hole to go down. Absolutely misogyny there, but not the kind of misogyny they think that lost Kamala Harris the election.
Who do not want a woman leading them. Might be race issues with Hispanics. They don't want a black woman.
Every guy now, no matter their race, is a sexist. They didn't want a woman in charge of them. There are actually good reasons to not want female bosses. Women tend to lead with emotions more. Women tend to be more vindictive. Women tend to favor women. Men, when they are in positions of power, and I'm speaking generally here, are much more fair, are much more results-oriented, do not typically favor men over women. They look for better candidates. They are not as vindictive. It's the opposite of female leadership. And again, there are outliers. There are awful male leaders. There are great female leaders. I have worked under both conditions. Generally speaking, though, you just go to personality traits of the two different sexes, and apparently we're allowed to talk about just two sexes again. Why isn't Morning Joe talking about, the special trans community? Why didn't we do that? Why can't we talk about a third sex? But it's the sexism that people didn't want a woman in charge. Do you think Morning Joe would say this? I'm just going to say Nikki Haley, because she was a prominent leader. But you can go down to Arkansas. Republican voters elected Sarah Huckabee Sanders. They have a female governor in Arkansas. Arkansas. These people hate Arkansas. All these rural backwater white Trump supporters. They elected Sarah Huckabee Sanders, a woman, to be their governor. Do they not? Of course, they don't think through it. And of course, their viewers don't think through it. It's only the president, though. Yeah, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, she's just a governor. So that's a different kind of female leadership. These people are absolutely insane. But no, at the presidential level, would he have said that if we rejected Nikki Haley? Oh, we're sexist. Of course not. Of course not.
As President of the United States, the Democratic Party, I've always found when you're sitting around talking, they love to just sort of balkanize everybody into these separate groups and say.
Morning Joe says that we like to balkanize the individual whose party and ideology represents classifying everything along racial and sex lines. You're a white guy, you're bad. You're a black guy, you need reparations. You're a woman, well, sometimes you're oppressed, but if you're a white woman, now you're bad again. Yeah, we're balkanizing America. These people are so wrong about everything. I'll go on record on my podcast. I've already tweeted about this multiple times. I think Donald Trump needs to ban MSNBC, ban CNN, ban ABC from the White House press room. These people have lost access to the White House because they are no longer news journalist organizations. They are hack jobs. They are fake news. We shouldn't have to waste our time. And they're going to cry. They'll be like, oh, Donald Trump's limiting access to the press. Guess what? I work for an organization that does media. I don't have access to the White House press room right now. We're working on it. Not everyone in media gets to go on Air Force One as part of the press corps. Not everyone in media gets to go to the White House press room. I think Donald Trump needs to kick them out. I'm not wasting my time with you because all you do is lie about me. I wonder if Al gets a word in. I haven't seen the end of this clip yet.
Oh, white people don't like women and black people. No, it is time for the Democrats to say, okay, and you and I have talked about this before. A lot of Hispanic voters have problems with black candidates.
What is happening on Morning Joe right now? He just complained that we're trying to balkanize everyone, and he is deriding, he is condescending, he is lying about black men, Hispanic voters are now all racist. He included women in there because they don't want a black president. I can't speak for all communities. I have seen polls that suggest that not white people are actually more racist than white people. I mean, look around. You all know white liberals. They are very racist to their core, but they're the ones that pretend the most to not be racist. And even if you are a racist, I care how you act on your racism. Even if he were a racist, and he's not, are any of Donald Trump's policy prescriptions racist? I don't care what he thinks as a human being. And to be clear, Donald Trump is not a racist, but I'm saying even if he were, I wouldn't care if it didn't reflect in his policies. That's asking too much, though. That's being too much of a grown-up, being too mature to separate these ideas. We're going to be done with MSNBC today. I think we're going to finish with Morning Joe. He's lost it. He's insane. He is calling out blacks, Hispanics, whites, men, women. It doesn't matter. You didn't vote for Kamala Harris. You're an awful human being. But sure, it's Donald Trump that is dividing this nation. Folks, this is going to be a wild next couple of months. We have 3 months and some change before Donald Trump's inauguration. A lot of people were saying, I just want the election to come and go. Just get to the election. Just give us a winner, and it'll be smooth sailing. I got news for you. I don't think it's going to be easy. Now, we do have some good news. Jack Smith reportedly is going to be dropping all of his fraud investigations of Donald Trump. The DOJ is apparently going to give him the boot. So Jack Smith's going to go away. All the Trump stuff, all the felonies, all the indictments, all that's going to quietly disappear. Turns out it was all fake all along. We knew it from the beginning, but now Democrats won't even have that. You still have people out there saying, oh, but a convicted felon's in the White House. No, he was convicted on a sham charge. That will get dropped in appeals. So all that's going quietly away. I did see some tweets that are interesting. Like, I think Trump fatigue is real. Where have the protests been? I predicted violence in the streets. Kamala Harris had a very conciliatory concession for the most part. She used the word fight a lot, which if you want to go after language like these hacks in the media love to do so much, you could point that out. But no real violent protests in the streets. I was wrong about that. They boarded up Washington, D.C., unnecessarily so, as it turns out. Trump fatigue, possibly. Maybe the agitators didn't get money from George Soros and other shadow organizations to go cause mayhem yet, at least. So I was wrong about that. I actually thought there would be violence in the street if Trump won. He's got the popular mandate, though. They can't even be like, see, the popular vote. That's why we should get rid of the Electoral College. Like, Trump squashed the argument, too. I love it so much. But we have a long ways to go. Jamie Raskin has said that he would weaponize the 14th Amendment to go after Donald Trump because since he incited an insurrection, he's not qualified or fit to hold office. We'll see how that plays out. I just don't think the regime lets Trump walk in, especially with guns loaded. He's got RFK lined up. He's got Thomas Massey lined up. He's got Elon Musk and Ron Paul lined up. He's got the American mandate. I mean, Donald Trump should, and I think he will, get into Washington, D.C. on day one and clean house. Secure the border. Stop sending money to Ukraine. Like, all the gravy trains in the establishment are going to be cut off. I just don't know if the establishment lets that happen. And so I am preparing for worse things to come. Maybe not right away, but we've got a long ways to go until Inauguration Day. So buckle up for that. I don't think it ends just because the election is over. But amazingly, no one is really contesting the election results. Democrats are like, yep, Donald Trump won. So we'll see where this goes from here. I'm going to love watching MSNBC. They don't know what to do with themselves right now. I'll be on the lookout for more Lib meltdown videos. These people are absolutely wild right now. But again, it won't take long to point out, like, hey, where'd your IVF go? Where'd your abortion go? And you know what? If he deports all the illegals, good. Donald Trump needs to get in there, close the border, and send people home. This is America for Americans. But folks, I think that's going to do it for us here right now, coming up on an hour and a half. Not a bad show. We kept busy today. I appreciate you turning in again. This is the American Tribune Live with Todd Peterson. I am Todd Peterson. Imagine that. We are live every Tuesday and Thursday at 9:30 Central on Rumble, on Twitter. I think we're going to still be monetized on YouTube because I had that stupid music introduction. We will find a better intro video for next time that's not so melancholy. But again, we had to get around the YouTube censor issues right there. Great things are happening in this country. This is a fantastic week for you. This is a fantastic week for America, for freedom, for common sense. Donald Trump is going to do so many good things. He is not going to do anything that they fear-mongered on. And it is going to be a fantastic 4 years to slowly watch these people undo their brainwashing, programming, propaganda. We just got to keep pointing it out. Not in a mean way. You just got to ask your friends, did you think Donald Trump was going to do that? Do you remember when you said that to me? And then point out the facts on the ground, point out reality. We still have to change minds. Let's make 2028. Let's plan for it already. Let's make it the biggest sweep in electoral history, folks. But I appreciate you tuning in. Have a fantastic rest of your day. I'm back tomorrow and Friday on our main Rumble channel. That's at the American Tribune. You're watching on the AmericanTribune.com. Head over to the American Tribune, 10 a.m. Central. I'm with my co-host, Jason Robertson. I think we're going to introduce you to the rest of the American Tribune team. But we're going to go through so much more election stuff. We are just getting started. But folks, have a great day. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next Tuesday.